Welcome to episode number 18 of the G5Hive, where we aim to bring you all the honey from G5 college football. I am your co-host Justice, joined by my other co-host Luke. What's going on, Luke? How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. We got the holiday season is almost done for me. I've got one more Christmas left here in a couple days. Oh,
You have little ones, so Christmas is exciting when you have little ones, I feel like.
yes. Yeah, we had the whole probably the I don't know, the funniest part was I don't remember if I told you this behind the scenes during a show or whatnot, but we went and saw one of Santa's helpers at the mall, and my son asked what his favorite, food was besides cookies, and he said McDonald's French fries.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So we had to go get McDonald's French fries for Santa. That was the obscure thing that I you know, didn't plan, but and boy, McDonald's French fries are not usually, I might eat a cookie here or there, but those French fries were not looking good late at night.
Well,
But
when your kids get older, it's just, I don't know, it's not as fun, right? First of all, like the whole mystique of Santa is obviously gone, but like the things they ask for, are super expensive. So they get like one thing. So, it doesn't take very long to open up one present.
no,
Like,
yeah.
my son wanted a big screen TV. My daughter wanted a new iPhone. My son wanted like a guitar, and so like it's always these big ticket items, and just not as fun.
Yeah, my the big items here were a Nintendo Switch, which at night I get to play a little Mario Kart, pretty nice. And actually, I really like the Switch because you can set like parental controls from your
Yeah.
phone, and have it
You can control like the times they can play and how long they can play.
set kind like that. And then my daughter wanted a magic doghouse. Pretty interesting thing. But you literally put this doghouse together from scratch. It gives you all the pieces. You put it together, and then you put cold water. It's got a little mat, and you put this cold water. The mat is connected to a food dish. So you pour the water into the food dish. It goes under the mat, and the cold water activates these paw prints. And then your last step is to name your puppy, and then you nail it in. And then once you nail it, it activates this like false bottom in the roof, and the dog's got a little deal that's hooked into its collar that when it drops, it activates like barking sounds.
Oh wow.
So like she nailed it in, and they're like huge nails, like a little. My daughter's 3; she was able to do this pretty well. But like, and then you hear that dog barking, and that look on her face was like, whoa! It was like Christmas magic. It was pretty incredible. And then she named the dog the same dog as our puppy that we currently have. So that's great.
Did the puppy react to the dog barking in the on the doghouse?
No, not at all. But we had to definitely keep the puppy up during a lot of the Christmas gift opening. I tried to have him out. He just picked up everything, like every little Barbie doll hairbrush that was on the floor. Like he had a collection of things. So we had to keep him in his kennel for till we got the opening and let the dust settle a little bit. But yeah, it was fun, and it's just like cooking like a really good meal. Like you just spend so much time cooking, and then it's like 13 minutes and it's all gone and it's done.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to watch a little bit more football this week. Got to do a little bit of gift exchange, like take back some gifts, and we've got, like I said, get ready for one more Christmas, and And that's a wrap. I'm hoping to be done by Friday.
Yeah, I haven't watched much football probably since Friday, and so I was hoping to watch today's bowl games. And I asked my wife when she woke up, like, what we had planned today. And she said, "We don't have any plans." Well, then, like around 2 o'clock, she's like, "Hey, come on, we got to go." And so I saw a little bit of the Minnesota game, saw the very end of the Texas or second half, I guess, the Texas State game, and then a good portion of the Kansas and LV game. But yeah, it's the way it goes sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it was busy holiday season. I was traveling and went up to Minnesota, so I also didn't get to watch as much football as I would like, but we'll piece it together.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get to the news and notes and our review of week 2. There was one piece of news I wanted to talk about. We haven't really talked about a lot of news. We're kind of saving a lot of the transfer portal news and stuff for later. But I saw this today. It said it was someone posted it for a group of 5 football players that are considering the transfer portal. And it says this is from an article published by The Athletic. Of the 186 scholarship G5 group of 5 to Power 5 transfers this past season, 72% of them saw fewer snaps for their new team, and 37% of them didn't even start a game. And so I think, for the most part, we kind of knew this, right? Like it's not the norm for a G5 guy to go up to the P5 and be a star. Um, there'll be a role player most likely, and there'll be 2 exceptions, but just something to think about for players thinking, hey, we'll move up to the group of 5 and ball out, or sorry, move from the group of 5 to the Power 5, and that they're gonna set the world on fire. The odds are that's not going to happen.
And for this percentage, I'm also under the impression with how it read. That's offensive, defensive lineman. That's everything. Not just skill position.
Right. That's all players.
The only notable names I can think of that actually like made an impact for football purposes, mostly fantasy. You got Tez Walker,
Tez Johnson.
Tez Johnson, and what's his name?
Jamari Thrash is probably debatable.
I'm trying to think of the Oregon, the guy that was from Troy.
That's Tez Johnson.
That's Tez Johnson, and then we've got Walker.
Tez Walker went to UNC from Kent State.
Yeah. Okay. So I just put the 2 names together. There we go. They're one guy, but yeah, those were like the two big names that jumped up that I think did something well.
Jamari Thrash probably debatable. He had he played good early on, and he got hurt and kind of faded off at the end there.
But I think from a fantasy football standpoint, and not just highlighting the G5 like we're doing here, but all of C2C leagues or CFF leagues, you can pretty much just like let people draft those guys who are going from G5 to P5. Just odds are, somebody might hit, but they're gonna, there's a lot of
odds
things
are not in the favor
right.
that's going to happen.
Yeah, so you might as well for your draft pick something that is more known than that. That's
absolutely,
kind of absolutely
for it. I know preseason I had a couple of shares of Dante Cephas, who went from Kent State to Penn State, and I sold him off whatever I can get for him, and turned out well for me. But yeah, it's not a good betting on someone moving up.
And there's a lot of guys. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point in another episode. But there's, Amos from Miami of Ohio in the portal. It's pretty much like anybody who's fantasy relevant is.
Well, and Amos came from the Power 5, right? So came from South Carolina.
So it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I think Larvadane went in the portal.
Yeah, I was. I interviewed. Me and Hollywood interviewed a linebacker from Ohio. I guess it was Saturday, And anyway, we were talking with him, and we felt like Ohio and Miami, Ohio were probably the favorites heading into next year. And then, Amos and Larberdane both entered the portal the next day. And I was like, oh, wow, that's, kind of crazy. But anyway, we'll move on to our week 2 bowl game review. So if you've been listening for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about all the bowl games, and then Luke and I each have made a pick with the spread in terms of who we think will win. The standings after week 1, Luke was 1-5, I was 4-2. And now we'll move to week 2, which were the games that went from the 17th to the 26th. And the first game up, as far as I'm concerned, we can just skip it, man. I lived it. I was there, and it was. I don't even know what to say anymore. But it was the famous Toastery Bowl, Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. Old Dominion was favored by 4. Western Kentucky won by 3 in overtime. We both picked ODU, and we both lost. Man, oh man! Like ODU was up 28-0, but you could see it. Like I'd say halfway through the second quarter, you could kind of see like where it was headed. And like it just really, and it just kind of exemplified the whole season for Old Dominion for me. And why are they in so many 1-score games? It's because the coaching staff, for the most part, coaches it that way. They're generally speaking, especially when they have the lead, they're just so ultra conservative, so predictable. I mean, it got to the point in the bowl game, it was like, run the ball up the middle, run the ball up the middle. It's 3rd and 7, throw it incomplete, punt. Time of possession was 40 minutes, Western Kentucky, 19 minutes, Old Dominion. Now, some of that's not like totally Old Dominion's fault because they had a lot of defensive turnovers, had a pick 6, etc. But still, they started trying to run the clock out halfway through the second quarter, and there's just way too much time in college football to do that. And then your defense is on the field for 40 minutes. They're gonna wear out, and that definitely happened. It was just it was a disaster of a bowl game for Old Dominion. Like, how do you blow a 28-point lead?
What are your thoughts in general on Kadarius Callaway going into next year?
He entered the portal, if you didn't know that.
Oh, I missed that then.
So after the game, he entered the portal. I was disappointed. It'd be interesting to see where he lands. His problem is he can't pass block. He cannot pass block, and that's really kind of what held him back at Old Dominion. Partly because the O-line was so bad, like in a passing situation, the running back had to help pass block, and he was terrible at it. And that's a big part of the reason I feel like he didn't necessarily get the playing time he deserved. But when he has the ball in his hand, he's pretty electric. He's definitely a game changer. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. My fear is he tries to go back to the Power 5. So he came from Alabama. Well, he started off at Alabama, then went to JUCO, and then went to Old Dominion. So my fear is he's going to try to go back to the Power 5, and yeah, I'd have zero interest. If he ends up somewhere like Miami, Ohio, sure. I think the G5 is the right level for him, but no matter where he goes, he has to improve his pass blocking to be able to stay on the field, unless he goes to a team that just doesn't ask the running back to pass block.
And then I think the big topic of this game and after this game is Caden Veltkamp.
Yeah.
They said, I believe he's in the transfer portal.
He was in the portal before the game, and he wasn't the starter. Tyson Helton,
Turner
Helton started the game for him, and had he kept playing, ODU would have won. He's terrible. But Veltkamp came in, lit him up. The word was that Western Kentucky told Veltkamp, hey, you can come back next year, but you're going to be a tight end. You're not playing quarterback. And so he decided to enter the portal. And as far as I know, he's still in the portal. And like, I mean, a great showing for a kid that wants to play quarterback. Great showing for him.
So we've talked on multiple different occasions on this podcast about Western Kentucky's offense just looking not like last year's Western Kentucky. Really no deep field shots. How did it feel watching them in person and he threw the ball all over. He damn near threw for 400 yards. Like,
it still wasn't like anything super deep. I haven't looked to see what the ADOT of the game was, but my guess is still had a pretty decent ADOT, probably at least 10 yards. There's a lot of missed tackling, a lot of just terrible defensive play by Old Dominion. Old Dominion is missing their top two defensive players and linebacker Jason Henderson and safety Terry Jones Jr. So, I mean, I'm not shocked. The defensive backfield for ODU hasn't been like the cornerbacks hasn't been great. The linebackers don't do pass coverage. So I guess I wasn't shocked by what happened. The thing that probably bugged me the most is like they never double cover Dalvin Smith. And so many times like Dalvin Smith was the first read, and then always go to him. But it was clear to me like that's who they wanted to get the ball to, and I can't blame him, right? Dalvin Smith is a tall dude. He's a pretty big guy, much bigger than I thought he was. And Corley too. Corley is a little bit thicker than I thought he was in person. Corley didn't play that much in the game, but yeah, I don't know. Like the adjustments for Old Dominion are just terrible, both offensively and defensively. It's the way it's been all year. I don't know if that changes for next year or not. I mean, I just feel like at this point, Ricky Ronnie is who he is. He coaches to not lose instead of coaches to win. So he's coaching the game to be a one-score game and hoping that you make that one more play than the other team. And I think I heard someone else kind of describe it the best. It's kind of like like maybe Penn State was the same way, right? We'll have more talent than you. Well, on the G5 level, that doesn't really work because you're not, everyone's kind of more par for the course as far as talent goes. So, yeah, I mean, I think at this point, that's what Ricky Ronnie is, unfortunately. I think maybe next year they'll get a better offensive line, and the offense will open up more. But I was not. The offense was an improvement over last season, but that wasn't a high bar to climb. We'll see if they take any steps forward and moving forward next year.
I've got Veltkamp on a couple of teams, and I'm kind of curious if he comes back and how that all goes.
Yeah, and he actually looked good when he ran the ball a couple times too. He wasn't like a statue.
He had like, I think it was like 19 rushes for like 56 yards or something like that. So
he definitely looked like a capable quarterback to me. So my guess is that Western Kentucky must be, banking on bringing someone in from the portal. So enough about that disaster of a bowl game. The next game up is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, UTSA versus Marshall. UTSA was favored by 12, and they won 35-17. We both picked UTSA. We both won that game. That game kind of went as I expected. I don't know about you. I mean, Rasheen Ali did play some, but it was Cole Penny. They made a big deal about the quarterbacks being sons of former NFL players. But I didn't expect Marshall would put up too much of a fight against UTSA, and they really didn't.
Yeah, the big news was Frank Harris sitting out. I think he even clapped back at some people who had reached out to him on Twitter. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know why you'd ever say anything negative to a player, tag them or DM them or anything like that. But then it was also Rasheen Ali just torching them in that first half. I can't remember what it was. It was like 9 rushes for like
86
100
yards
yards.
or
Yeah,
touchdown, something like that.
it
Yeah.
had like one long run and then shut them down. And Malachi Corley, the same thing. Like it was a pretty common theme so far in the bowls of stud guys just playing a half and then that's it.
Or if they even play at all.
Which
I mean, to me, Rasheen Ali, I think, is making a mistake declaring for the NFL. I just think like he could probably go somewhere and make some NIL money more than he will as probably a UDFA in the NFL. I mean, and he has 2 years of eligibility left. So why he would not try and parlay that into some what I would think is more. I think he can make more money in 2 years in NIL than he'll probably make in a career in the NFL.
I think it's real interesting from a competitive standpoint. Like being an ex-college athlete that, I mean, granted, baseball and football are two widely different things, but just going out there, knowing that you're only going to play a half, it's hard to get up for those games. And then like you perform the way you do, like I don't want to come out, like just keep letting me do my thing and just having to shut it down. It's like, why even play then? And I get it. Like, I don't know. I get you don't want to get hurt, but you've already made it like a half. Like just
right. To me, like either play or don't play. That's kind of the way I feel about it. Like, don't half-ass it, half-heart it, whatever you want to call.
Yeah.
All right. Next game, our first G5 versus P5 matchup in this period, and it was all G5. South Florida versus Syracuse. Syracuse was favored by 3. We both picked South Florida. South Florida just demolished them 45-0. Better days are ahead, though, for Syracuse, I feel. But this certainly was a great win for USF and their first-year head coach, Golish. Byron Brown played phenomenal. Not much to say other than Syracuse just looked terrible.
Yeah, USF offense looked a little bit better. Shout out to Sean Atkins for being the first USF wide receiver for over 1,000 yards. And I have a feeling that will continue for next year. And Tennessee didn't look all that great this year. Is it Heupel? Is it Golish? I don't know.
Or is it Joe Milton?
Yeah. Well, we will see. I'm sure Nico will get his time in the sun here.
Well, Nico's going to start. It was announced today.
Okay.
Joe Milton is not playing in the bowl game, so Nico will be the starter for the bowl game. All right. We both, like I said, we both picked USF, so we both win that one. Next up is the Gasparilla Bowl, which is Georgia Tech versus UCF. UCF was favored by 4.5. Georgia Tech won 30-17. I picked Georgia Tech. Luke took UCF, so I won that one. And I did not get to watch any of this game. Did you see any of it, Luke?
I got to watch a little bit of it. I'm trying to remember which part because this was. I'm
surprised, like UCF didn't keep it closer. I thought they would. I thought it'd be a close game.
If I remember right, there were some just turnovers that kind of helped it get a little bit out of hand. So I'm trying to remember exactly, but because this was on Friday night.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah, and we just got to Minnesota. So like I was kind of watching, kind of not. But yeah, Georgia Tech kind of pulled away in the second half. But yeah, I did not get too many eyes on it.
Timmy McClain came in. I'm assuming at that point maybe the game was out of hand. He threw an interception, and then RJ Harvey also had a fumble.
Which UCF is going to have a lot of guys coming back, it sounds like.
And it looks just like Georgia Tech just kind of ran the ball over him. Haynes King only threw for 87 yards, but they had almost 300 yards rushing. So, which does surprise me. I didn't think the UCF defense was that bad against the rush, but they certainly were on Friday. All right, next up is the Birmingham Bowl. This was another G5 versus P5 matchup. It was Troy versus Duke. Troy was favored by 8, and Duke won by 7, 17-10. We both picked Troy. We both lost, of course. I did get to watch this game.
I did not get to watch any of this. So
it was an exciting game to watch. Troy certainly had their opportunities. They just didn't make enough plays, and then late they turned the ball over, kind of sealed the deal for Duke. But I don't know. I mean, I wasn't overly impressed by either team in the game. Duke, Duke's Power 5, bigger players. Duke definitely seemed to want the game more. I felt like for their interim head coach. So it's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, a lot of people thought that Troy should have been in contention for that New Year's Six Bowl with Liberty. And they'll certainly point to this game and say, hey, well, there you go. That's why Troy didn't get it. But hey, they play within 7 of a Power 5 school. That's not terrible. I'd be shocked if Liberty is within 7 of Oregon. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm not saying Duke and Oregon are comparable, but it's hard to compare results. Next up is Arkansas State versus Northern Illinois in the Camellia Bowl. Arkansas State was favored by 1. Northern Illinois won 21-19. I picked Northern Illinois. Luke picked Arkansas State. So I won that one. I did not get to watch any of this game, but I did hear there were some bonehead coaching decisions by Arkansas State and Butch Jones in the end of that game.
I am trying to remember. But
I don't know if it was clock management or play calling or something. I just remember, everyone saying what an idiot.
I only got to watch the last part of it, but this had a Arkansas State scores a touchdown. I believe it was. Then they do an onside kick and they recover it. But the official called offsides on the kicking team. And they replayed that mofo over and over. And there was no offsides. They looked at different angles. There's nothing there. Then second one,
so it wasn't overturned. They had to redo it.
No, so it was a penalty. They had to redo it, and then NIU got the ball and then won the game. But Arkansas State got screwed over in that. Also, they ran a 2-point conversion at one point, and
that's the one. I think that's the one people went crazy about, that decision.
And I don't remember the exact play. I do remember he threw it on the left side, just out of the back of the end zone. That's really out of all the 2-point conversions you have in your playbook, that one was your best one. No way. But yeah, overall, not a bad game to watch. I just tuned in because that game was on Saturday morning-ish. I got to see the end of that, and that's pretty much what I saw. before I got to watch quite a bit of the Utah State, Georgia State, and JMU Air Force game.
So speaking of JMU Air Force, that's our next one up, the Armed Forces Bowl. JMU was favored by 2.5. We both picked JMU. We lost as Air Force defeated them 31-21. I was a little bit – I didn't really know what to expect in this game, right? Because JMU had all their portal players playing, and JMU is pretty tough against the run. But on the flip side, pretty much all their coaching staff was gone. So much so that the ones that were there, they brought in specialists just to kind of coach playing Air Force against the Air Force offense. And JMU's defensive line has been a strength all year, but it didn't look that way in the game, which did surprise me a little bit.
And Air Force ran the ball considerably well. The first drive, I think they were at the yardage that, or very, very close to the yardage that JMU allowed.
Give up in a whole game. Yeah.
And they got it on the first drive, or really close. I mean, they had that
rushing yards. Like, I want to say like they had 82 rushing yards and JMU gives up like 86 or something.
Yeah. And it's like that
kind of set the tone for the game.
I just see it on Twitter over and over. That linebacker just goes to this hole, and they give it a halfback dive, and
Michelle,
everybody just like goes over here and runs it for like 64 yards or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really know it. Like I said, I didn't know what to make of the game, so I'm not shocked that Air Force won. I'm a little shocked that they ran the ball so effectively against JMU, but
I was really just upset that this game and the game that we'll go over next were at the same time slot, because those two were like the most entertaining bowl games like we had up to that point.
The one thing to note was after this game, I think it was 7 JMU players announced they're entering the portal, and guess where they're all going? Indiana. One of them being no, it wasn't McLeod. McLeod was already in the portal, but Kalen Black, the running back, is one of them.
Okay,
he's one of them that's going to Indiana. So move on to this next game. In this game, I didn't get to see any of this game, but it certainly shocked me seeing the final score, and that's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Georgia State versus Utah State. Utah State was favored by 1.5. And we both picked Utah State, and we both lost as Georgia State kind of ran roughshod over them, 45-22.
Fighting Darren Granger's really tore it up. He had the first 2 or 3 touchdowns of the game. He was running the ball. They couldn't stop him. He was Superman in this one, and he won the MVP.
And then was it Freddie Brock?
Yep.
I think the running back. I don't know what he was, 3rd string, 4th string running back, 24 carries, 276 yards, and a touchdown. Someone to kind of maybe file away for next year, assuming, I don't know if he has eligibility. I'm just assuming he does. Let's see. He's listed as a senior on ESPN, but that doesn't necessarily. So, no, it looks like he has at least 1 year of eligibility left. He has this COVID year, so at a minimum. So maybe a name to kind of keep an eye on potentially for next year, because Marcus Carroll's gone, KZ Adams is gone. They did, and I know they already brought someone in the portal, but just someone to keep an eye on. But I don't know. I'm not expecting this Georgia State offense to look as good with a new quarterback next year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Just someone to kind of file away as a deep sleeper maybe in your leagues. That's Freddie Brock. Next up, the 68 Ventures Bowl, and this wasn't a game at all. South Alabama versus Eastern Michigan. South Alabama was favored by 15.5. South Alabama won 59-10. I picked South Alabama, and Luke picked Eastern Michigan.
I just picked Eastern Michigan because
you're trying to be different.
That's 15.5 is a lot of points. I'm like, no way. Well, yes way. That was
yeah. I mean, the most excitement in this game was at the very end with the cheap shot when the they're South Alabama's celebrating. They're over there singing their alma mater, and an Eastern Michigan player runs over and takes a cheap shot, against
Yeah, I
a
don't know what
South
they were
Alabama
thinking.
player, and then a brawl breaks out. I haven't heard anything like if there's. I'm assuming there will be discipline against the player. Assuming they still have eligibility left, that there will be some kind of discipline. But yeah, like I don't understand what people's minds like. You got beat by 49 points. What are you doing cheap shotting somebody after the game? Like,
Yeah. Plus,
no
you're
place
also
for it.
going into like a whole. I don't know. You're in enemy territory. It's one versus
Right.
that even that small group that's there. Like he was like in the second to back line, so there, you went through like a line of of players. Like I don't know, just bad idea.
Terrible idea. Like, yeah, that's something like you're going to be like, people are going to remember you did that for a long time. And, I don't know. Like, not to say you can't recover from that, but that's just a terrible look for Eastern Michigan. All right. Next up, the SRS Distribution Bowl, Utah versus Northwestern. Utah was favored by 6.5. Northwestern won 14-7. I picked Utah. Luke picked Northwestern, so Luke won this one. I didn't get to watch this game, not too much of it. It looked like Iowa versus Iowa, so you might have enjoyed this one, Luke.
I didn't get to watch any of it, and I'm glad I didn't. I think it'll be one of those things. Utah comes to the Big Ten next year. They'll probably reference this game. Oh, they lost to
Big
Northwestern.
12, Big 12.
Oh, sorry, they're going to the Big 12. They'll probably reference this game, whatnot. But
Yeah,
this team wasn't what
I heard
they could be.
Jaquindon Jackson got hurt pretty good and bad in this game. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a concussion or what. I did see that Micah Bernard announced he's returning for seems like his a millionth year as running back. They get Cam Rising back, Brant Kuthi back. So, I think they should be in contention. They always play strong defense. It's for them. It's about how the offense can perform.
Plus, they're gonna have like everybody back.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next up, the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, and this one did shock me a little bit. Coastal Carolina versus San Jose State. San Jose State was favored by 10. Coastal Carolina won by 10, beating San Jose State 24-14. Another win for Luke as Luke took Coastal and I took San Jose State. I was really surprised Coastal was able to beat San Jose State in this game, but I didn't get to watch it. But by all accounts, Ethan Vasco played pretty well for Coastal Carolina, so perhaps he can give Noah Kim a run for the money, who's going transferring from Michigan State to Coastal Carolina. Yeah, I mean, I expected Kyrie Robinson to have a field day in the game, and he didn't. Chevin Cordero, 215 yards, only 59 yards rushing. Kyrie Robinson only had 67 yards rushing. Basco had 199 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 50 yards rushing. Sam Pinckney had a big game, 8 catches for 123 and a touchdown. I do believe Pinckney is back in the portal. Is that right?
I believe so.
So, yeah, good win for Coastal Carolina.
Brown, Pinckney is out of eligibility, or vice
Jared
versa?
Brown's definitely in the portal for sure, and I think he already committed to. Didn't he commit to like South Carolina? I want to say, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, Jared Brown definitely was in the portal.
Okay.
Next up is the quick lane. So we're moving to today's games. The quick lane bowl, Bowling Green versus Minnesota. Minnesota is favored by 3.5. This was a G5 versus P5 game. Minnesota won 30-24. We both picked Minnesota. We both win. And, when I got to watch this game, I watched probably the first half or so. The game went exactly as I expected. Minnesota run. I didn't know, I learned earlier today it's probably going to be Darius Taylor, but I didn't know if it'd be Darius Taylor or Jordan Newman. And Darius Taylor was the offense, which is fully what I expected Minnesota to do to Bowling Green. Just feed Darius Taylor, and that's what they did. Leading rusher and leading receiver for him.
Yeah, hopefully that's kind of what we see next year too. 35 carries, 208 yards, 2 receptions for 11 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Bowling Green. In some of my teams, I had Hilaire.
Hilaire did have a nice game for them.
And he didn't do anything all year long.
All year long.
10 receptions, 152, and a touchdown.
Yeah, he had a good game today.
Harold Fannin, tight end, 5 receptions for 50 yards. So,
and he returns. He'll be back at Bowling Green next year. So,
and 3 carries for 7 yards.
I know. I fully expect Darius Taylor to be the man next year. I know Cy Bangura from Ohio transferred there, but just like Sean Tyler, I don't see him being much of a threat to Taylor. He's going to be more of a second fiddle kind of relief guy. But if Taylor gets injured, Bangura could fill in for him. All right, next up is the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Texas State versus who do they play? Rice. Sorry, Texas State versus Rice. Texas State was favored by 4. We both picked Texas State. We both won. Just a couple of things I saw today. The attendance for the game was announced at 26,542, which was the highest attendance for any game at that stadium all year. The interesting thing to note is that is SMU's home stadium. They won 11 games in the American. They are moving to the ACC, and they couldn't fill that stadium any more than Texas State and Rice. And by all accounts, it was mostly Texas State fans. Another interesting note I saw today, the Texas State side of the field was out of beer at halftime, and the entire stadium was out of beer with 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. So not only were there a lot of fans there, mostly Texas State fans, they drank a lot of beer too. And they had reason to celebrate. Texas State won the game. They kind of took control late in the game and just beat up on Rice.
I'm really looking forward to Texas State this next year. Head coach gets a extension, a 5-year extension.
He's like $1 million a year, right? I think.
And you've got TJ Finley going to be in this offense for the second year. Hopefully, he takes.
Did he announce that after the game? Because before the game, he was like he didn't know what he was going to do.
I guess I did not see. I'm just assuming.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know either. I saw something that said he said he wasn't going to make his decision until after the game. So I'm not really sure.
I guess I haven't seen that. Mahadi had a good game. My question is, like, if you had TJ Finley coming back, I think this is going to be a sneaky team for fantasy purposes because Cole Wilson, Joey Hobart.
Now, does Hobart have any eligibility left? I don't know because he was at Washington State and then he went to JUCO and then Texas State.
On ESPN, he's labeled a junior.
All right.
Cole Wilson, I think, is a sophomore.
Cole Wilson was a sophomore.
And then Hawkins, I think, he's labeled as a junior. I thought he was done, but whatever. You have a quarterback coming back with the same head coach, offense coordinator, a lot of the same pieces. Mahadi's a sophomore, I think.
Yeah, he'll be back. Jeter will be gone. Jeter, I think, had 4 touchdowns today.
3, yep.
3.
3 of his 8 carries were touchdowns. But I think that team, it put up 45 points. Granted, there was some defensive touchdown or a lot of defense, good defensive plays. But I think that team is going to be one for fantasy next year. Also, my boy Dean Connors, 15 carries, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, we'll never forget.
He did squat the week in our waiver wire week.
Yeah, I tell you,
with the CFF list boys.
I will not forget.
And then the last game, which is still going on, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas versus UNLV. Kansas is favored by 12.5. I took Kansas. Luke took UNLV, and that game is still very much to be determined. UNLV started strong in the game, and then it was all Kansas. But I just looked over at the score now, and it looks like UNLV's made a little bit of a comeback because it was pretty sure it's 28-7 at halftime. Is that right?
It was a lot to a little. Kansas
And
was
it's
oh, sorry.
28-17 now. So UNLV. So it's 28-10 at halftime. UNLV must have scored
It was a field goal, yeah. There
when they got the ball back in first in the second half, and they're getting ready to get the ball back again now. So we'll see if Kansas can get the momentum back in that game. But that one's jury's still out as far as who who will win that matchup. So not including the Kansas UNLV game, I stand at 11-8. Luke is 7-12. And in G5 versus P5 games, the G5 is 1-3, with the lone win being South Florida. So moving on to the final week of bowl games here, minus the national championship game. The games tomorrow. First up is the Military Bowl, Virginia Tech versus Tulane, another G5 versus P5 matchup. Virginia Tech is favored by 10.5. Who you got, Luke?
I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take Virginia Tech.
I'm gonna agree with you and go with Virginia Tech as well. Tulane. I don't know who's gonna play quarterback. Is Pratt gonna play?
No.
And Kai Horton's in the portal, so I don't even know who the quarterback's gonna be.
And Carson Haggard's in the portal. Like it's got to be at that point a fourth string quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Virginia Tech. Pretty much everybody's playing. Yeah. I don't. I mean, Tulane lost their head coach, so I look for it to be Virginia Tech and more Virginia Tech. And the crowd will be Virginia Tech too, because the game's in Annapolis, which is a very close drive for to Blacksburg and Virginia for Virginia Tech fans.
So notes that I have here is Kai Horton is in the portal, but will be allowed to play and compete with Justin Abita to see who will start the bowl game. But they're leaning Justin Abita.
Oh wow, that doesn't sound good for Tulane.
So if it's Kai Horton, I feel a lot better. I don't know exactly who he's passing it to, but I feel way better than.
They still got Mekhi Hughes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this could be this could go south really quick for Tulane.
Yep.
Next up is probably one of my favorite bowls, just because I like the after game watching the coach get mayonnaise dumped on them. But it's the Dukes of Mayo Bowl, North Carolina versus West Virginia. West Virginia is favored by 6.5. We know that Connor Harrell, I believe, is starting for UNC. I don't know about Tez Walker. My gut tells me he's not playing. Oh man. I think I'm going to take North Carolina.
Okay.
I just think 6.5 is a lot. I mean, I think Connor Harrell's a capable quarterback. Amari Hampton's still there.
I do as well.
I think I'm not going to be shocked that West Virginia wins, but I would be. I don't know that West Virginia is going to win by a touchdown, but man, I expect. I feel like this game is in Charlotte. Is that right?
Charlotte, North Carolina. Yep.
And so obviously, that's going to be UNC fan base. So, yeah.
I think I'm going to take West Virginia, and I think that defense is just going to be bad enough that Green can will his team enough.
Oh, touchdown, Ricky White.
All right.
Long
So
pass.
maybe this is my chance to make up
It'll be
some room here.
28-24 here momentarily. Still a lot of time left, man. There's still 10 and a half minutes to go in the third quarter. Yeah, it's like a 45-yard pass to Ricky White.
But you are correct in Connor Harrell's going to start. They bring in Max Johnson, so this will be kind of an important game for Harold to show what he's got. I mean, granted, he's been there all year, practice, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, I'd be shocked if Max Johnson starts over Connor Harrell, but
I sure hope not. But yeah, it looks like Tez Walker's not going to play, and a couple of
does it say anything about Cedric Gray, linebacker for Carolina?
It just says he played 180 snaps, NFL draft, 3-year starter. Cedric Gray, he has 121 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. And he will be sitting out. Middle linebacker Amari Campbell will make his first career start.
That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt for sure. But still think 6.5 is a lot of points. So, all right. Next up, the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, Louisville versus USC. Louisville is favored by 7, and you are up first this time, Luke.
I think I'm going to take Louisville. USC's whole team isn't there, and even their defense wasn't that good during the season. So I just think Brom's going to coach Louisville good enough to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think Louisville wins the game. I don't know, man. 7. I don't know. Are they going to win by 7? I mean, Louisville definitely probably doesn't have anyone opting out other than maybe Jordan. Man. Yeah, I think I'll go with Louisville too.
Okay.
And the last game of the night for tomorrow, the Tax Act Texas Bowl, Texas A&M versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored by 2, and I will take Oklahoma State. I just think too many defections for Texas A&M. I'm not aware of any defections for Oklahoma State. Obviously, coaching changeover to a Texas A&M, so I just take the continuity with Oklahoma State.
Yeah, without looking into anything, I want to take Oklahoma State just because I want to see Ollie Gordon crush it.
Yeah. I expect to see him eat in this game.
Got a lot of defensive guys for Texas A&M that are going to be out.
Yeah, well, in the portal, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now moving on to Thursday's games. First up is the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, which is another G5 versus P5 matchup. SMU versus Boston College. SMU is favored by 10. Who you like in this game, Luke?
I mean, SMU's defense is pretty solid, but sure, who do we have out for SMU? Preston Stone.
Well, we know Stone's out for sure. I don't know they have anybody else out.
Yeah, I don't. I think I'm going to take SMU.
I think I'm going to agree with you. 10 points is a lot, but
yeah,
SMU defense is legit. And other than Castellanos, Boston College doesn't have a lot.
It's not like they're throwing the ball. Like they're going to be running
Exactly.
it. I think SMU can do that. Yeah.
Next up, the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, Rutgers versus Miami. Rutgers minus 1.5. And I will take Miami.
I will second that.
I'm not even sure why Rutgers is favored personally, but I know they won't have Colby Young. They won't have Tyler Van Dyke, but I think Emory Williams is going to start. Is that right? I would assume so. But
let me take a look.
I think he's proven he's proven in his starts this year he's capable.
Jakari Brown.
Jakari Brown's going to be the starter, huh?
Yeah.
Did Emory Williams get hurt?
I think he entered the transfer portal.
Did he really? Oh wow! I didn't know that. I knew Van Dyke did, but
oh no, I don't see him on their transfer portal. So he must have not.
He must be hurt.
Yeah. Let's see here. There should be some stuff around injuries here.
Well, I still take.
He wasn't talked about it.
The next bowl. I don't know if you've paid attention on X or Twitter today. It's been a lot of talk about the trophy. It's pretty cool. Luke and I talked about this last week. It's going to be the only edible mascot. It's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. If you saw the trophy, it's like, it's a football, and it's got 2 slots to hold 2 real-life Pop-Tarts. It's NC State versus Kansas State. Kansas State is favored by 2.5. So you're first up in this one, Luke.
Based off of some opt-outs and whatnot, Morris being out, I think here I'm going to take Kansas State.
I'll pick different just to be different. I'll go with NC State.
All right.
Next up is the Valero Alamo Bowl, Arizona versus Oklahoma. Arizona is favored by 3. Give me Oklahoma.
Man.
I expect this to be a good game, though, right? A lot of offense. Excited to see Jackson Arnold and what he can do in this offense. But I think the Oklahoma defense is just a little bit better than the Arizona defense, and so I'm going to go with Oklahoma, especially being the underdogs.
Yeah, I'm also going to go OU. I mean, Arizona's just played so good all year.
Offensively, they played good.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to try to get a game. Arizona -3. I'm going to take Arizona. Try to get me a game here. I definitely like. I want to see what this freshman has at quarterback. You said his name. I am
Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold. I really want to see what he does. His main whatever game 1, 2, 3, whatever it was. He had like 10. He was like 12 for 14 or something, but he like had an 8 out of like a yard or something like that. Like I want to see what he can do here.
Moving on to the Friday slate of games. First up is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. We got Clemson versus Kentucky. Clemson is favored by 4, and you're up first in this one, Luke.
Gut just says, "Give me Clemson."
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I would assume Ramon Davis isn't playing for Kentucky. Devin Leary doesn't scare me. I don't know who else is opting out for Kentucky. Is Shipley playing for Clemson? Wouldn't shock me if he does or doesn't, but I haven't heard.
It doesn't say that he's not opted out or not playing, so I would assume he's in play.
Gotcha. Yeah, Clemson then for sure. Next up is the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, featuring Oregon State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 6, and I think you gotta go Notre Dame, right?
Notre Dame for me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Who's
gonna play? Who's gonna play quarterback for Oregon State? Goldbrinson.
Let's see here.
You know, Aiden Childs is saying he's going to Michigan State. DJU is in the portal, so I'm going to assume it's going to be Ben Goldbrinson going to be the quarterback for Oregon State.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I haven't heard Hartman's not sitting out, is he? I don't know why he would, but maybe he is. Hartman and Estime, any word on either one of them?
Hartman is not going to play.
What about Estime?
So Steve and Jelly is going to start.
Maybe we get to see some Kenny Minchie.
And then Estime opt out as well. So I'm assuming we'll see some Love.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love.
And Payne.
All right. Next up is another P5 G5 matchup, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Memphis versus Iowa State. Iowa State is favored by 10. And I believe you're first up, Luke.
Give me Memphis.
Man.
Playing at home.
Yeah.
Offense.
10 points is a lot of points, too.
It is.
Man. Ooh. I think I'm just going to agree that I think 10 points is too much. I think Iowa State wins, but I don't know they won by 10.
Iowa State's defense pretty good. Offense not too bad. Yeah, I think Memphis is going to be too much.
And moving on to the last game of the night, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, Missouri versus Ohio State. Ohio State is favored 1, and I would take Ohio State.
I'm also taking Ohio State. Sounds like we will have
Henderson
and Henderson. Get to see what Devin Brown looks
Marvin
like.
Harrison Jr., but I think that's to be expected. Yeah, I'm excited to see Devin Brown.
Yes.
All right. Now moving on to Saturday, we got the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Ole Miss versus Penn State. Penn State's favored by 3.5, and you are up first, Luke.
Well, woof. This will be a good game.
Should be a good game. Absolutely, I agree. One of the better games. I think it's a game I'm looking forward to.
Penn State doesn't have a lot of people sitting out on the defensive side other than Chop Robinson, so I think I'm going to take Penn State.
All right, I will take Ole Miss.
And just hopefully that they can run the ball well enough.
Against Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl, Auburn versus Maryland. Auburn is favored by 7. And I think, man, this is not a game I want to watch. Not a game I'm looking forward to. But I think I'll just take Auburn. I mean, I was assuming Billy Edwards is going to be the quarterback for Maryland. I think Tulua's already said he's out, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, give me Auburn.
I'll also take Auburn. I do not want to watch this.
Another game that I think is just going to be another ugly one. The depth chart for Florida State got released today. The Capital One Orange Bowl, Georgia versus Florida State. Georgia minus 17. Luke, you're up first, but I think we're both going to agree where we're going on this one.
UGA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Florida State had so many opt-outs. You can't blame them, right? I can't blame them. So, yeah.
I will probably not watch this game.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it either. This next game, though, I think I'd like to watch is featuring two G5 teams. I'd like to see, a preview of the quarterback position next year for Toledo, and that's the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Toledo versus Wyoming. Wyoming minus 3.5. Man. Ooh. I think I'll take Toledo.
I'm going to take
No DeQuan Finn.
I'm going to take Wyoming. You got Craig Bull announced that he's going to retire.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the narrative that they're going to win one for the skipper and take Wyoming.
Certainly. I mean, they're the favorite. So I can certainly see that. Now we're in the home stretch here, moving to our the bowl games on New Year's Day. First up is the ReliaQuest Bowl. Wisconsin versus LSU. LSU minus 10. And you're up first, Luke.
Give me LSU. Go Tigers.
I'm going to agree with you. I haven't heard anything if Jaden Daniels is going to play or not, but I don't think it matters.
Think so.
Whether it's Daniels or Nussmeier, I still think LSU wins by 10.
He's opted out already.
Okay. Next up is the VRB Fiesta Bowl. Liberty versus Oregon. Oregon is favored by 17, and I'm going to take Oregon.
Yep, give me Oregon. We got Bo Nick said he's going to play. Give me Oregon. I think Liberty's been a fraud all year. They're going to play defense, even if it might not be. I don't know who they're all got out on defense. Let me look here. A D-line with 4 snaps. Some cornerbacks. Yeah, that defense is going to wreak havoc on Liberty.
Next up is Luke's team, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Iowa versus Tennessee. Tennessee is favored by 7.5. Who are you taking, Luke?
Give me the Hawks. Go Hawks. We're going to have Nico just seeing ghosts out there.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't know if I'd take Tennessee, even with Joe Milton playing it. 7.5 seems like a big spread against Iowa. So, yeah. All right, now we're moving on to the Rose Bowl, our first CFP college football playoff semifinal. We got Alabama versus Michigan. Michigan favored by 2, and Luke thinks we're both going to take the same team. I'm going to take Alabama. You going with
Alabama? I'm taking Alabama. I just think Alabama has an edge at quarterback. And then line-wise, I just feel like the defensive line can do enough against that offensive line. Michigan, you lose your center. That's a big hindrance. But you can somewhat throw the ball for Alabama. Like, I just think Alabama's defensive secondary is good enough to shut down Michigan. And I feel like you're going to run the ball out with, what's his name? Milroe, Jam Miller. McClellan's hurt, I think, right?
I don't know.
So I just think Alabama's going to win.
My personal opinion is whoever wins this game wins the national championship.
That is my thought as well. I have Alabama winning the national championship.
Now, I will say this. I think both the semifinal games are great matchups and should be both good games. The final game of the night, the All-State Sugar Bowl.
McClellan is probable for the game, by the way.
The other semifinal features Texas versus Washington. Texas minus 4.5, and this is Luke's pick first.
I'm going to go with Texas. It's 4.5. I feel like that's actually kind of a big number. It's power against power. Washington's, pass offense versus the bad pass defense of Texas. But I think if Texas can put it all together, they have the most upside out of all the 4 teams. Now, can they put it all together for 2 weeks in a row? I don't think so, but I do think that Texas wins. You give Sarkisian this amount of time to scheme against a team. I feel good about this first one, and give me Texas.
I'm going to agree with you on Texas. I just looked back. If you hadn't had enough different, I was going to just pick different just to give you a shot at catching me. But I'm ahead by 4, and we have 5 different for this period.
Oh, all right.
So you have enough. You have enough to not only catch me, you have enough to catch me and pass me. So
I mean, I don't feel great about it, but I feel like Texas just has a lot of talent.
they do,
and
they
there's
do.
a lot of potential. I think
And to me, outside the 2 Oregon games, I haven't been overly impressed with Washington.
they
Like,
can.
I legit thought they should have lost to Oregon, but they played great against Oregon.
Yep.
So
all right,
that's gonna do it for this week. We haven't really talked about when we're gonna come on next week. My guess is it's probably gonna be Tuesday again, maybe.
let's hear. What do we got? I guess we got New Year's
New
Day.
Year's Day is on Monday. So I'm assuming we're both going to be wanting to watch the games.
Yes.
So
yeah, let's do Tuesday next week.
We'll be back on Tuesday next week. Thanks everyone for your support. Please like, rate, review, subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. You can find us, on YouTube. Find us on Twitter at G5Hive. Find me on Twitter at Justice_2318. Find Luke at Probasco Luke. Hit us up, like Luke says. Any questions you have, some off-season content that you'd like to see, anything we can do to help you guys with the G5 college football landscape, just please let us know.
I really feel like we are going to be a staple for you guys next year. We've got a lot of people in the transfer portal, especially in CFF, C2C leagues, where these G5 teams can really help you win championships, win games.
Absolutely.
You might have I don't know how the schedule is going to work out for those first 3 weeks. A lot of the cupcake games get scheduled where you might, win one of the 3 games or might go on 3, but then once the conference games start going, we know, but hopefully we can help highlight people that we see trends in those, first 3 weeks, that we can highlight Ashlock for Hawaii, or, something that maybe, like I said, TJ Finley, if he comes back, you've got this offense that has a lot of pieces coming back. A Memphis, who's the guy you want there? Things like that.
The other thing is, like, next year, next season, it's one of those odd years where, like, every team has 2 bye weeks. Some teams have 3. So, you're going to have more bye week challenges than you normally do in college football. So you're going to need to know those G5 players. So
we'll do the best to give you the information. You can make whatever decisions you want. But hopefully we'll be able to give you all that sweet nectar for you guys to make those decisions.
Thanks for your support, and we'll see you next week.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.